Hey everybody, welcome. Welcome to live Q&A. It's a survivor community live Q&A. We come here every week, or at least we have been coming here every week for a few years now. And I want to welcome you if this is your first time here joining us. This is a live Q&A community for adult survivors of any type of childhood trauma, childhood abuse, complex trauma, abuse, physical abuse, religious abuse, cult abuse, sexual abuse, you name it. If you are an adult now and you experienced childhood trauma, you are welcome here. There is a chat box over on the right-hand side of your screen if you're on YouTube. If you look around on there somewhere, you'll be able to find it. And there is a live chat going on there. You can put your questions in that chat box. And I have wonderful moderators who are here, and they will make sure that I see your question and I get to as many questions as I possibly can every single week. So I'm hoping the audio is okay. I had to reboot my computer a couple times. It seems to be the case. Please let me know if the audio is okay, if you can hear me okay. I'm hoping it's okay. I'm guessing it's okay. If Matt or Dawn could let me know if okay, so the audio is good. Yay, okay, so welcome. So again, if you're triggered, this is not a place for crisis support. I would love to be able to provide crisis support, but I am not set up for that type of support system here. YouTube is definitely never the place for crisis support. So we would love for you to, if you are a survivor of rape, abuse, or incest, if you could reach out to our friends over at RAIN, the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network. That's RAINN.org. And they have a live 24/7 chat feature on their website if you go to RAINN.org. Or you can reach them at 1-800-656-HOPE, HOPE. And I always forget the numbers, but numbers are right now 1-800-656-673. And if you're a survivor of rape, abuse, or incest, and if you prefer to text, you can reach to our friends at the crisistextline.org, or you can text the word START to 741-741, and you will be on the line with a crisis counselor who can communicate back and forth with you briefly about what you're going through and refer you to a place locally where you can receive the care and compassion that you deserve. Also, if you would like to reach out to our friends at the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, if you are suicidal, actively suicidal, if you're having suicidal ideation, you're having suicidal thoughts, you're thinking of killing yourself, this is not a place to receive support if you're incurring any type of self-harm behavior, or if you're thinking of taking your own life, if you're thinking of killing yourself. So please reach out to our friends at the Suicide Prevention Lifeline.org, or they can be reached. I have their number right here for you guys. I had it, and then all of a sudden, I lost it. So our friends at the Suicide Lifeline.org, Suicide Prevention Lifeline.org, can be reached at 1-800-273-8255. So take a moment right now, if you could, to either tweet out that suicide prevention information, or share it on Facebook, or copy it onto your clipboard. They're in the chat box there on the right-hand side of your screen. All this information is there. And if you could just share that information, if every single one of us shared that information, we could save a life, and it would cost us nothing. So very passionate about that. I am a suicide survivor myself, and I have suicide in my family. My cousin committed suicide about 17 years ago. So that was a really traumatic thing that happened in my family and probably contributed to um, the start of my own recovery journey, probably because the cumulative nature of trauma. So I just want to thank you guys for being here, and many thanks to all of you that show up here every single week to support one another. You guys are amazing. And I have just received so many messages from so many of you talking about how supportive our community is and how different our community is, because it truly is a safe place, and we are committed to making sure that it remains a safe place. So just a really quick thank you to Lisa and Matt and Dawn and Jody and Kalisha and Harriet and Heather and Poppy and all of the other volunteers that make this weekly live Q&A a possibility. And again, trigger warning, tonight's topic is going to be triggering for anyone who has lived through any type of childhood trauma, any type of maltreatment during childhood or even in adulthood. This is going to be a triggering conversation for you. So please step away from the chat box if you're triggered so this can remain a safe place. And please do remember that anyone who arrives here with us is deserving of unconditional love, acceptance, and welcoming. So please always, always be kind and welcoming to every single person who arrives here. And you never know what they're going through. You never know what they might be incurring in their life. And it takes a lot of courage to be here. And if you can remember back to the first time you showed up here on a Monday night, or way back like 3 or more years ago when it was on Wednesdays, it takes a lot of courage. So just a reminder that you will be blocked and removed and unwelcome here if you choose to be unkind. And lastly, just thank you guys all for being here. Thanks for giving this video a thumbs up. If you're here for the live discussion, give yourselves a thumbs up. Thanks for subscribing to this channel. You're subscribing to this channel and your thumbs up and your comments after the video is done being live, and even your comments over in the chat box. It tells the algorithms on Google and YouTube that I'm producing content that is helpful, and they put my videos over on the right hand side of the screen in the suggested videos section, which is where most of our subscribers come from. Most of the survivors that find us that are, newly figuring out that they have memories, they find us by the suggested videos section on the right hand side of the screen when they log on to YouTube for something completely different. So just thank you for all of your thumbs up. And what else did I want to tell you? If you wanted to get involved in a safe community, if you could email Lisa at cptsdfoundation.org, then we'll get you plugged into one of the private secret Facebook groups as soon as possible. I know that we used to have it where you would friend me, and you would friend Bobby, and you would friend Matt, or you would friend Lisa, and then we would communicate over on Messenger, yada, 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 yada. But I'm finding I'm listening to you guys, and as you tell me what it is that you need, many of you have told me over and over and over again that you need the vetting process and the process of getting into a safe group to be more streamlined. And so I'm doing my very best to make sure that I do that for you guys. So I have a dedicated volunteer that is vetting all of our men and women that are going into safe groups, and her name's Lisa, and she's a part of us now. She's a part of CPTSD Foundation. And so if you want to email Lisa at cptsdfoundation.org, send her an email and let her know you want to get plugged into a safe group, and she will make sure that you get plugged into all the groups that you want to get plugged into. And it's taking me a while to go back into Messenger and message everybody and let them know that I have somebody to help me now. But if you guys could get the word out in any way, that would be amazing. And just take a moment to say hello to everybody that's over in the chat box and introduce yourself, or let us know if it's your first time here. And then send in your questions. And then I'm going to be doing daily vlogs, more daily vlog type videos. It'll probably be weekly at first, and then once I get the hang of it, because I haven't been doing like vlog type videos, kind of like this is my life type videos, but that's over at youtube.com/the the letter C/mostly Athena. And I'll be doing, or there's a link in the chat box. And there's also a link down in the bottom of the description section of this video. If you want daily type, like this is what it's like to be a survivor and struggle all the time, but still manage to find a way to adult all over the place and do life somehow. Like those are the videos I'm going to be making. So thanks for being here. Tonight's topic is week 3 of healthy habits that we can maintain during the holidays if we are indeed recovering from abuse, if we are living with CPTSD symptoms, if we are in CPTSD or trauma recovery, and we need to find a way to make it through the holidays without losing our minds, without living most of our days in an emotional flashback, without having to sacrifice all of our boundaries that we've spent all year or 3 years or several months or weeks building. And also just the feelings that come along with the winter holidays when you come from a family of origin that perhaps isn't healthy, and yet you are flooded with messages from our culture saying, you know, home for the holidays, and, you know, family is number one, and, you know, family is the most important, and all you have is family, and, you know, family is a blessing, and just all of the messages that we're flooded with. Which sometimes it is opposite of what we have experienced in our own life journey. If we come from a family of origin where there was alcoholism or drug addiction or dysfunction or domestic violence or abuse of any kind, or a lot of gaslighting or emotional abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse. If we come from a family of origin where all of those things are present, then we find ourselves in adulthood living with a myriad of different symptoms, and we're so confused thinking that we caused all of it. Like if we're living with, you know, if our coping strategies have included addictions to substances or eating disorders or busyness or gambling addiction or social media addiction, or all the different kinds of overexercising, overworking, like being a workaholic, any type of a aholic, a lot of times those things are maladaptive coping strategies that are as a result of trauma. And so if we realize, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that trauma recovery was a thing. I didn't even realize I was traumatized. I didn't even realize that I was numbing the feelings that I was having. I was stuffing all of my feelings. I was avoiding all of my feelings in an effort to just function on a daily basis. And then all of a sudden I wake up and it's 10 years later and I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I get here? So all of that, the volume can get turned up on all of that during the holidays. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight. We're here to talk about ways to be healthy and make healthy choices during the winter holidays if we are indeed in trauma recovery or we're living with CPTSD symptoms. So let me just get out of all of these little windows here and see if I have any comments coming in or questions coming in from you guys so far. So 1 second. Oops, no. No. There we go. Yay. Okay. So I want to say a really quick thank you to Willow and Heroes Don't Wear Capes and John Harvey and Dana Bowman. And they have sent in their questions to be answered tonight. And my voice is a little crazy, you guys. I'm traveling for the next few weeks, and I was out really late, and I'm normally not out late. And I think as a result of me just planning and traveling and holidays and things and stuff and business and just low on sleep, low on energy, I think that's why my voice is a little crazy tonight. So bear with me. I also have a raging headache that I'm trying to get rid of. But thank you for being here. And I'm so excited to get a chance to answer some of your questions. Let me just get a drink of water, and then I'm going to dive in, and I'm going to start with Willow's question. I hope I'm not touching the microphone, making crazy noises like I do sometimes. And thank you so much for August, for August sending in her question as well. Okay, so here we go, guys. If you could tag the people that when I answer their questions in case they're gone, because I know they send them in now and then I get going on an answer and then it's like 20 minutes later. So, ooh, we're low tonight. There's only like 35 of you here. There's only like 35 of you here. Normally there's like twice that many. I bet it's just because like maybe, I don't know, just like holiday stuff, right? Willow wants to know, I am lonely and it is exhausting. I want to round up those toxic folks and give them a big old hug and say, please manipulate me again so I feel like I have a life. Without toxic people, I feel like I'm nothing. Um, First of all, I love you, Willow, because I so totally get your sense of humor and I know you get mine. Um, I feel like we sort of are cut from the same cloth in that way because I've definitely uttered these exact same words. And it's not that I truly mean like straight face for real. Hi, manipulative people, toxic people, I love you. Will you please just manipulate me so I can feel like I would never really do something I've thought? And first of all, Willow, I just want to let you know you're not alone because that's been so me. And like I mentioned on last week's broadcast, you guys, Lisa asked a really good question, very similar to this. And I just, I, I was recalling the first time I had spent the holiday season not in touch with my toxic family of origin, with all of the scapegoating and the gaslighting and the manipulating and the abuse and the ridiculousness and the bickering and the just the drama, honestly. And I was sharing last week that sometimes I just miss my mommy. Like sometimes I just miss stuff. Like I miss all of it. Like I miss the crazy, right? I miss my mom's potato salad. I miss the smell of, the fire always burning, and I miss being around my dog and just people that have known me my whole life. And I just sometimes I miss it. But I want to mention something right now, Willow, and I want to share this with all of you guys because it really does help. Thinking about something and being tempted to do something is not the same as doing it. So, for instance, I do miss all of it sometimes, but that's not the same as me choosing to reach out and like follow through because I know how physically ill and mentally ill I can become if I give in to those feelings, for lack of a better phrase. So I want, I almost want to just like give you guys permission to just have longing. I do have longing. I miss my family sometimes. My dad's dead. He enabled all my abuse, but I still have some good memories that I made with my dad. You know, my mom's still alive, but she abused me from birth and allowed me to be trafficked and exploited and played a huge part in me being lent out and traded for goods and services. And she was extremely abusive in every single way on the daily. But she does make a mean batch of potato salad, and I have some good memories that I made with her. It's never black and white. The only time it's black and white is when we're kids. When we're adults, it's a gradient, right? There's the good pile and the bad pile, and then there's just this gray area in between. And I do miss it sometimes. But I, in my wisdom, in my adult wise self, I feel that it is in my best interest to take my health into consideration, not only my physical well being, but my mental health. I believe that it behooves me to make healthy choices and to maintain the healthy boundaries that I have established in the past and continue to remain low contact to no contact with those toxic loved ones. Um, I believe it's best for them, and I believe it's best for me. Why do I believe it's best for them? If I'm healthy and I'm getting healthy, why is it best for them that I stay away from them? Well, I believe that I played a role in their dysfunction for many, many years. I was given a role when I was born. I was likely given this role before I was born. I was destined to repeat some sort of pattern that my family of origin had been repeating for generations. And so when you remove one of the cogs from the wheel, something happens. The system gets jammed up and things have to change. Things have to rework themselves, go on a different path. And since I removed myself, I removed my cog from the wheel, I was the cog in the wheel. I was the scapegoat. I enabled a lot of dysfunction. I enabled a lot of abuse. I was the whipping boy, or whatever it is you want to call me. There was always someone to blame everything on. And then, but yet I was very, very sweet, and I had a deep desire to please everyone, so they could always count on me to show them compassion when they were being scapegoated. And so that was the dance I did. I would get scapegoated, I would be hurt, and I would be starving for love. And when the manipulative people that were either abusing me or being abused reached out to me for compassion, they could always count on me to be compassionate until they decided to scapegoat me and abuse me. And I just went back and forth. My life was like a tennis match of either being hit in one direction or another. I was either running away from abuse or being sucked back into it because I was starving for the only love I knew. So that's a big old fat truth bomb for a lot of people right now. And I'm sure that a lot of you didn't want to hear that, but you know, we play a role in the dysfunction. Am I saying that my abuse was my fault? No. Am I saying that any of your guys' abuse was your fault? Absolutely not. Abuse is never the fault of the child. Ever, 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 ever. I received a heartbreaking email from someone just yesterday, or was it the day before? I can't remember now. It all just melts together, of explaining to me the abuse that they endured when they were a young teenager, like I think it's like 13 years old. And then at the end of the email, they say, I know I wasn't a child when my abuse happened. I'm wondering if your community would be a good fit for me. The person writing this email has already blamed themselves for the abuse and minimized it in such a way that they are now responsible for all of their abuse because they weren't a child when it happened, because they were a teenager. And you guys, there's a reason why 18 is when we become adults. Our frontal lobe is still developing when we're 17, 18 years old. We're still impulsive. We often are still living under the roof with our family of origin. Um, you know, regardless of how old you were when your abuse happened, if you were in a family of origin that was possibly gaslighting you or grooming you from a very young age, you didn't have the wherewithal to know what abuse was and what abuse wasn't. And so, therefore, you are not complicit and you cannot be blamed for your own abuse. So I hope that makes sense. Um, Willow, I do want to say one thing to you, Willow, and that is that I'm very sorry that you're lonely. Um, I found myself feeling very, very lonely yesterday. And I do feel more lonely during the winter holidays than I normally do. Normally, my life is very full with our community and all the work I'm doing in our community and the planning and the courses and the worksheets and the books and just groups and just things that I have been planning and building and building and building, right? But when the holidays come, it's kind of like a lot of that sort of gets put on hold a little bit because people are harder to reach. And like I have, like, for instance, I'm traveling for a few weeks, right? And, I have some, some business and some personal travel that I'm going to be, you know, partaking in. But it makes my normal schedule sort of up in the air. My normal schedule is not my normal schedule. So I'm open, I'm vulnerable to those feelings of loneliness. So you're not alone. And I'm wondering, Willow, if you're plugged into any of our safe communities so that you can be surrounded by people who know you and love you and care about you. Um, that would be amazing if you were, or if you're open to it. And I know that many of you have reached out to myself and several of our volunteers asking when we are going to have groups and resources available that are not on Facebook. That is coming in the new year. I've been working very hard on that, and I will keep you posted on that. But the feeling that Willow mentioned about, without toxic people, I feel I am nothing. Our identity been whatever they say we are, right? The role we play in the abusive pattern, and the cycle that's been going on for possibly generations and generations. Um, I know, like, just having like 40 of you here, technically 40 of you that are here, there's at least 10 of you who are still being abused. 25% of the population right now, on average, is currently still in an abusive situation. So 10 of you out of that 40 could still be being abused. And I just want you to know that you are not all alone without toxic people. It feels that way. I thought I was going to die the first Christmas that I wasn't around my family of origin. I didn't have any energy. I laid in bed. I couldn't move. I was at the doctor's often. I didn't have any emotional energy to do anything. There was a piece of paper on the wall in the shape of a Christmas tree. The television was off. I wasn't listening to any music. I was barely, 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 barely functioning. I, I stopped working with all of my private clients for about a month, and I only showed up on, at that time, I believe it was Wednesday nights. I only showed up on Wednesday nights to be here with you guys. Other than that, I was not okay. But I made it, and I stuck to my guns. I figured out, like, okay, if I'm going to get well, this is what it's going to take. And I've never looked back, and it's very healthy. It's very, very healthy. And I promise you can do it. Heroes Don't Wear Capes says, I'm currently low to no contact with everyone. I have realized my world was built on managing and anticipating others' wants and needs. I feel very lost, and I don't seem to know how to live my life. First of all, I want to thank you, Heroes Don't Wear Capes, and Willow, for having the courage to send in your questions tonight. And Heroes Don't Wear Capes, I want to commend you on your courage and the strength it takes to remain low contact to no contact with everyone, in all caps. That is so hard to do. I know, because I'm doing it, and it is beyond painful some days. Really, really, really beyond painful. And I just want to commend you on the strength that you have, the wherewithal, the courage. It is amazing to me, um, what we can survive when we cut ourselves off from the toxicity and we allow ourselves to sort of find our bearings. And, like, it's almost like being sober. In fact, it is. Like, our addiction is different. When we were raised in a toxic environment, people pleasing and sacrificing ourselves on the altar of other people's approval, and making ourselves available to be their scapegoat, that's our addiction, because it's all we know. And so if you can remain sober, Heroes Don't Wear Capes, for just a little bit longer, just a few more months, I promise you it's going to be worth it. You will never look back. You will never wish. You'll have longings like I do. Like, it's been a few years and I still have those longings, right? I still miss people and it's hard. But I just want to commend you on a job well done, because it is very, very, very hard to do. And I want to just acknowledge how hard that is. Um, and for you to even be in a place, Heroes Don't Wear Capes, where you're saying, I've realized that my whole world was built on managing and anticipating others' wants and needs. Um, that is the truth, right? That is the truth. And they're not counting on the fact that we're even going to figure it out. Our toxic loved ones don't ever really think that we're going to figure it out, or that we're going to be strong enough to stay away. They use every tactic in the book to lure us back in. They stalk us. They send us things. They call us. They text us. They use different telephone numbers. They get new phones. They enlist flying monkeys to reach out to us and tell us that they're worried about us. They start smear campaigns, having people contact, is it really true that you're doing this and this? It's like, no, where'd you hear that? They use every single tactic possible to get to us. And for you to be able to withstand all that's going on, Heroes Don't Wear Capes, because I know it's a lot, and for you to stay strong, and for you to be able to realize that your whole world was built on managing and anticipating their wants and their needs, and you're having the courage to stay away. It's just so huge. I'm very sorry that you're feeling so lost. I identify with that deeply. I had a little while over the weekend when I was feeling a little bit lost and unsure, and I had some melancholy, like some melancholy feelings, and sometimes it just like permeates everything in me. I feel sort of melancholy, and like it's so not like me. Like, I mean, I'm normally kind of like a happy person that likes to be around other people and help other people, but there's something about going low contact to no contact, especially remaining low contact to no contact with all toxic people, especially during the holidays. There's something that does create an extra layer of loneliness. And I just want you to know that I identify with that, and it's real. I promise you, though, in your question, you were talking about how are you going to live your life. I promise you it's going to come to you. You're on a path. You're on a healing path. And the longer you wait in between allowing the toxic people to contact you, more clarity comes. More clarity comes on a regular basis the longer we're away from the toxicity. Things become so much more clear, and we begin to feel a weight has been lifted from our chest. Like we had like a 300-pound animal standing on our chest, like a camel or an elephant or something. And then that weight feels like it's lifted. And then it's almost like someone takes our goggles off, like we had fuzzy different types of like glasses on, and we have moments of clarity and moments where we can take deep breaths. That all becomes possible the longer that you stay away from the toxic people. I promise you. So I just want to cheer you on in that direction and encourage you. John Harvey wants to know, how do I avoid toxic people during the holidays? Um, well, John Harvey, first of all, thank you for your question. And secondly, the fact that you even want to avoid toxic people during the holidays is a huge step. There are a lot of people in our community and outside of our community that complain 365 days a year about their narcissistic so-and-so, or their toxic so-and-so, or their, sociopathic so-and-so, and then they invite them over to their house, or they go to their house, or they hang out with them on a regular basis. They allow those narcissistic, sociopathic, sadistic, toxic people to text them or call them whenever they want. And when you recommend, when they ask, what should I do? And then I will invariably say something along the lines of, well, have you thought about establishing some healthy boundaries with that person? Letting them know that it's not okay for them to stop by your house unannounced, or it's not okay for them to call you 12, 13, 14, 20 times a day, their response to me is, oh, well, you just don't understand. Like, they honestly think that there's a loophole. These in particular individuals that are coming to me complaining about their narcissistic, brother, or their sociopathic niece, or their sadistic father-in-law who just loves to just like watch people squirm, and he's just very unkind with his words, and or people that have adult children that are super abusive, and they're over and over and over and over and over again for years now, for years, multiple years with an S on the end, multiple years, like plural. And they want to know why they're still being abused. And when I recommend to them that they, don't answer the phone call, or let them know that I won't be answering your text messages, especially when they come in the middle of the night, they're not open to that feedback. They want the abuse to stop, but they're not willing to establish or maintain a healthy boundary, which takes a lot of courage. And my answer is, it will never change. Sadly, it will remain the same. The level of toxicity in your life will remain the same. So when John Harvey sends in a question, how do you avoid toxic people during the holidays? Well, John Harvey, the fact that you even want to avoid them is huge. And the fact that you're taking steps by being here every single week, and you're involved in our groups, surrounded by healthy people that are deleting the toxic people out of their lives and taking steps forward to, live a healthy life, that's a huge step. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned that you are limiting your contact with certain members of your family of origin. That's a huge, huge step that takes a lot of courage, and it's very painful, and it causes you to feel very lonely, and then you just want to give up and give in, and call them or text them or reach out or send them an email, and, stay strong. Know that your boundaries are healthy, and it's okay for you to take care of yourself, and know that we're all cheering you on along the way. John Harvey, you're doing amazing, amazing work, and it's hard work. So I hope that that helps you, and that you know that you're making healthy choices by maintaining healthy boundaries. That's the biggest thing. Um, Thanks for all your questions, you guys. I'm going to answer Dana Bowman's question next, and then August. And thank you to Deborah, and thank you to Anne, and thank you to Monica. You guys are amazing. Dana says, I don't have family that gets together, and my father-in-law hates me. We will spend all of Christmas Day with them. Any ideas for finding inner peace? Ooh, Dana, that sounds like a really difficult situation. Um, let's see. My father-in-law doesn't hate me, but he is completely emotionally unavailable, and he has the inability to like me because he's like 90 something years old, and I'm like half his age, and he just doesn't connect with me at all. And so when I'm around my father-in-law, who, he's a great man. My husband loves him, and, he has 3 wonderful children, and he has 2 great grandchildren, not great grandchildren, sorry, 2 wonderful grandchildren. He doesn't have great grandchildren yet. But when I have to be around him, I find other people to talk to, and I just don't engage in conversations, because this is how the conversation goes with my father-in-law. If I see him, I say, how are you doing? It's great to see you. How's it going? How are you feeling? He will avoid eye contact, look away, and either change the subject, pretend he didn't hear me, or if he does answer me, he will do it in passing as he's leaving the room, and he'll say something along the lines of, well, I just don't really think about it. Let's put it that way. And he'll just leave the room. So there's no friendliness. There's no emotional availability there. Um, doesn't make him a bad person. It just means he's not emotionally available to me personally. So when I'm around him, I find other people to talk to, other people to spend time with. And then what I've discovered over the past couple of years, I haven't seen him lately, but I wear earbuds. Like I will I'll have my earphones in if I'm not physically engaging emotionally or physically in a conversation with someone else, and everybody's kind of doing their own thing, like playing video games over here or playing, cornhole outside or barbecuing over there, or they're out at the lake or they're doing things, or someone's going on a walk, or someone's going, on a ATV, or like whatever's going on in the family, what everybody ends up doing, differently. If everybody's doing different stuff, then I just find like my little happy place, and I put some earbuds in and I listen to whoever I want to listen to on YouTube, or I have some content that I've been going through from a CPTSD conference that I went to, a seminar I went to. And I've been listening to all the audios and watching all the videos and doing all the worksheets in all of my spare time, because it's been quite transformational for me. So I don't know if that helps you at all, Dana, because I know it's hard because you want to be fully present for people. Um, Dana, have you researched the term gray rock? Gray rock? Because I would highly recommend you learning and perfecting gray rock. That's what I do for people that are emotionally unavailable and that I do not feel like engaging with, because I deserve to preserve my sanity and my physical well-being. I go gray rock if I have to be there. That's what I do. Um, it's not fun, but it works. So let me know if that's helpful. You guys, let me know if these answers are helpful for you. Just get a drink of water really quick, okay? My goodness. I hope I don't lose my voice completely. That would really suck. I'm trying not to talk very loud, but I hope you can still hear me. August says, I decided not to go home for Christmas. My family seems really upset about it. How can I disappoint everyone? Thanks. Um, how can I disappoint everyone? Well, August, first of all, that's a tough position to be in. I want to support you in your decision to not go home. I feel like I've gotten to know you a little bit over the past few years, and if you were to not go home, it would probably be for a good reason. I believe that you're very wise, and you may finally be coming to a place where you're going to put your own well-being, you're going to place your own mental and emotional well-being towards closer towards the top of the list of priorities for you in your life, rather than sacrificing yourself for the approval of a lot of other people that might not have your best interest in mind. And while it may be very painful to see the looks of disappointment on people's faces or hear the words of disappointment in people's voices, August, I want to commend you for doing something that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to do what's right for ourselves, because we weren't taught to do that. We were taught to do what was right for everybody else. So you might be disappointing them, but you're doing something very special for those younger versions of you on the inside that maybe didn't have anybody to care for them or provide a safe place for them for many years of their life. Does that make sense, August? It's a hard thing to do, you guys, but I want to commend you guys for doing the hard work. It is hard work maintaining healthy boundaries, especially maintaining healthy boundaries with toxic individuals, especially during the holidays, is one of the hardest things in the whole world to do, especially because we're flooded with messages of home for the holidays and family first, like I was mentioning at the beginning of this broadcast. So, we have like about, oh, good. I still have, you guys still have time to get your questions in if you have questions. We might end a little bit early tonight. How does that sound? Does it sound okay to end a little bit early? Um, if I finish everyone's questions, I'll end a little bit early. But feel free to send in any questions you might have. Um, and then I'm going to rest my voice so that I can hopefully have a voice next week for you guys. And I have, oh, if you're in our groups, I'll have one last EMDR debrief this week before the holidays. And the rest, then I'm not going to have EMDR until after the first of the year, but I will be like seeing my therapist, but I'll be seeing her virtually, not in person. So I won't be doing EMDR. EMDR is an in-person thing. I don't recommend you doing EMDR virtually because you're making a new brain. Like, you get a new brain, you're making new neural pathways. So being face to face with someone who can see how you're doing is really, really, really important because you're dealing with your neurobiology, you know? So anyway, August, will you let me know if that's helpful at all for you? All of you guys let me know. Deborah sent in a question. Deborah says, during my healing, I am trying not to isolate. I was looking forward to spending time with my kids, now changing. How do I not isolate and backslide? Let me see if I want to make sure that okay, so during my healing, I'm trying not to isolate. I was looking forward to spending time with my kids, now changing. How do I not isolate and backslide? How do I now not isolate and backslide? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, what Deborah is saying is this healing journey that we're on, we're doing our best not to isolate. And she's looking forward to spending time with her kids. But she wants to make sure that when she's spending time with her kids, she doesn't lose the traction or the ground she's gained in her recovery. I believe that's what you're asking. If Deborah's still here, if you all can maybe like tag Deborah Herendine, I want to make sure that I get the question right. I promise to come back to it, Deborah. I just want to make sure that I don't want to answer your question in a way that's wrong. So if someone could tag Deborah and ask her to clarify her question, like, is she asking how can she stay healthy while spending time with her kids? And if that's the case, are her children leaning towards is there some toxicity there? Or is it other family members that are going to be around her kids that are like, there's some toxicity there? I just want to make sure that I get the question right. So Anne says, how do you not feel alone on Christmas when you have no family to spend it with, or really any friends either? I have volunteered and it is great, but it is very temporary. Oh, that is so painful. And that's very painful. Well, I don't know how for you to not feel alone if you're not going to be volunteering. For me, like when I'm feeling really super lonely and then I volunteer and I show up and spend time with other people who don't have anyone, then excuse me, then I feel less alone. But you're saying you have volunteered, and it's great, but that's very temporary. And maybe what you mean is like the good feeling you get from volunteering is such a temporary feeling, and it's like the lonely feeling that you get is like way more permanent. Maybe that's what you mean. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I want to make sure that I'm being as helpful as possible. But honestly, Anne, if you could spend some time with some of the wonderful people in our groups, since everybody's on different time zones, there's always somebody in there. There's always somebody commenting or posting or hanging out. Um, I don't know. The people in our groups they're my family, you know? Like if I didn't have like business travel and other stuff coming up, like I'd probably be spending more time in the groups and like just seeing how everybody's doing, or connecting with people that are in our groups that are safe people, you know, even if that's just something virtual or fun, like, you know, like Words with Friends, or like some sort of virtual game you can play with, you know, the safe people that you meet in our community that are not predatory. It's hard to find people out there in the world that are not like toxic or predatory, especially if you were raised in a family that is toxic. Then you tend to attract toxic people until you get healthy. And so like the best way for me to like meet healthy people was to like connect with the people in our groups, because I didn't know how to cultivate safe relationships, you know, for so long. When I learned what a safe person was back in like 2007, 2008, I feel like it was 2008, maybe 2007, maybe it was 2007. Anyway, when I learned what a safe person was, and I learned that I was like the least safe person I knew, then I spent a lot of time sort of journaling and figuring out why I was unsafe and like where I learned my unsafe characteristics. Um, and that took up a lot of my time. And I began attracting different types of people, like safer people, once I became safe. And, you know, and I'm not suggesting that you're an unsafe person. I'm only speaking for myself. I know that until I worked on myself, I was probably the unsafest person in the room. I was raised in toxicity. It's all I knew. I only knew how to be codependent. I only knew how to allow myself to be scapegoated. I brought out the worst in other people because I was so used to being treated poorly that I would almost place myself in situations so that I could fulfill that like thing that I was used to, which was being treated poorly. Like I would find myself acting certain ways that made no sense because I was so used to finding ways to be scapegoated or abused or left out or treated poorly or, you know, manipulated or minimized. It's embarrassing to say, but like it's just the truth. That's who I was, you know. Um, so aside from volunteering or spending time with some of the safe people in our groups, or, you know, doing something kind for yourself, spending time with yourself, learning to love yourself, learning to love spending time with yourself. Aside from those things, then I don't really know what else to recommend. Um, those are things that I found great pleasure in because it was new. Like I had never done it before, you know? So I don't know if that makes any sense, but I hope it does. I want to say thank you to Monica and Hunter and Declan. Hi, Declan. Oh, I'm going back to Deborah's question now. And then thank you again to Dana. So Deborah clarified her question. So I said that I would go back to it. So what Deborah was saying, she says she was spending time with her kids. She says, now I am not spending time with them. I don't want to be triangulated by my abuser through my kids. Ooh, That's tough, Deborah. The hardest answer I have to give to you is the truest answer, Deborah, and that is you cannot control the fact that your abuser is going to try to reach you through your children. Like, it happens, right? It happens to me. It happens to a lot of our community members. That's what abusers do. They triangulate. They enlist flying monkeys, all under the guise of good intentions, right? They're just worried about you. So they reach out to other people in your life and talk about you behind your back and get them to be concerned about you so that they'll reach out to you and tell you how concerned your abuser is. It's like so ridiculous. So my answer to you, Deborah, is you can't. Like, there's nothing you can do. Only thing you can do is control your response. The hardest thing in the world for me to do was to sit silent while my son's mouth opened and my abuser's words came out. It's like one of the hardest things in the whole world I've ever had to do. And I just had to remain calm and collect my thoughts and choose my words wisely. And it was a really lonely time in my life, really lonely. But I didn't give in. I didn't respond. I didn't play my role, right? I didn't play my role, which is what I had always done. So I hope that helps, Deborah. It might not. Monica Shields. Monica says, I'm realizing that my mom let her golden child, my main abuser, get away with anything. My fantasy mom dies hard. Each day I realize who she really is. Oh, that is so painful, Monica. Monica, I'm so sorry. I know you sent in your question like 30 minutes ago. I hope you're still here, Monica, but that's so painful for me to read because I know the pain of realizing when our fantasy mom dies. The fantasy that like I was saying last week, like I just miss my mom. Like I just want to like call her up and be like, what are you doing? And and like have the conversations like we would normally have. And I miss her potato salad and just like certain things, and grieving the loss of the mom that I wish I had is probably one of the most painful, 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 painful parts of this recovery journey. But that fantasy mom never really existed, and I really wanted her to. And it's really hard each time. It never gets easy. Like, it never gets like super easy. It gets easier. Actually, it doesn't get easier. It hurts less over time, but it doesn't ever get easy, that fantasy mom is something that I feel that my younger parts deserved. My younger parts deserved a mom like me, the mom I was to my son. And I'm not saying that to be boastful and say that I'm so awesome. Being a good mom is freaking hard. It's so hard. I mean, it's hard, and then again, it's not. It's like the easiest thing ever. But like, what I mean is, like, making healthy choices and treating your children with kindness and love and unconditional acceptance and approval and love, like, that comes naturally. But doing it consistently every day, over and over and over and over and over, in the midst of life and bills and being a single parent, or like toxic family of origin nonsense that's going on like behind the scenes trying to derail you, like, I somehow managed to be a good mom in the midst of living in complete and total chaos within my family of origin that stopped by unannounced whenever they wanted, called whenever they wanted. I had no boundaries, zero. And I somehow managed to like not like ruin my kid. I don't even know how that's like a complete miracle from God. But my younger parts deserved a good mom. And the fact that my younger littles will never have that good mom, like that fantasy mom that they deserved, that's like one of the most painful things ever, which is why I spend so much time on the reparenting work. The reparenting work, which is makes up the bulk of my recovery journey right now, so worth it. Um, it's really painful, Monica, when you realize that your mom is toxic and she had a golden child and she had a scapegoat and you were the scapegoat and her golden child abused you. Like, to even fathom that and to have to accept the reality of that is so painful. It's excruciating for me to even sit here and like sit with you through that. That is excruciating. You didn't deserve that, Monica. You did not deserve to be abused by your mother or by your brother. Um, I'm so sorry that that happened, Monica. I'm so sorry that all of us are here. Like, I'm grateful that we're all here, but I wish that Anne and Deborah and August and Dana and John Harvey and Willow and Monica and Hunter and Declan and Deborah and Miss Beach Boxer. Like, I wish that all of us were able to like meet under like different circumstances and not abuse recovery, trauma recovery, you know? It's so painful, Monica. I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve that. Hunter, high five, recovery buddy. Let's see. Hunter says, is saying it's personal a good way to deflect the happiest time of the year, Brigade? I think what I speak fluent Hunter. So I think what Hunter's saying is when the happiest time of the year, Brigade, is in full force, meaning like the society we live in and then the family of origin, you know, it's the most wonderful time of the year, you know, like, but like deep inside you're struggling. So I think what Hunter is saying is if he just simply says to them, like, it's personal, I'm dealing with something personal right now, is that a good way to uh, deflect them? And Hunter, I think my answer would be it's not a good way for you to deflect, because deflecting actually means that you're not really accepting anything and you're just sort of deflecting and you're projecting. I would say, Hunter, that that is a good way for you to cope and to create a safe space for yourself to feel safe. The most important thing, Hunter, is that you find a way to feel safe in your own home while everybody else is part of the most wonderful time of the year brigade. You know, like the most important thing is for you to not fake it and have to feel like you need to be fake in your own safe place at your home. You know, find a way to feel safe where you live and where you are. Find a way to feel safe in your own body. And if that means um, commenting to the most wonderful time of the year brigade, I think that that's an excellent coping strategy. I don't think you're deflecting. I think you're actually dealing quite well because I happen to know a little bit about your story and your family dynamics. And I think letting them know that it's personal is a good way for you to have a healthy boundary with yourself and with them. And I think my biggest piece of advice for you, Hunter, is for you to not feel obligated to manage their emotions. During the holidays, you guys, we tend to manage other people's emotions. We don't want to disappoint people or be the Debbie Downer or whatever. We don't want to ruin people's holidays. And so we pretend that we have it all together and that everything's fine. And we manage their emotions. And we manage the situation in any way that we possibly can. And that's the worst thing we can do for our own mental and emotional well-being. It tells all of our younger parts that they don't matter and that the ones who matter are everybody else but them. And so if we can find a way to honor ourselves and create a safe space within our own body, and speak up for ourselves, you know, like, I think I'd like to spend a little bit of time alone. I'm fine. Thanks for asking. I'm dealing with some things that are personal right now. You know, thanks so much. Like, I don't see a problem with that, Hunter. I think it's really healthy. For sure. Declan, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. Declan says, any advice on difficult people? Not malicious, but still hurt you by mistake. Because non-harmful people are few and far between. That is so true, Declan. I was mentioning earlier about my father-in-law. He's not a horrible person, Declan. He's actually a really nice, wonderful man, and he has a wonderful wife, and he's her caregiver. She has dementia, so he is a full-time caregiver. And he has 3 adult children and 2 adult grandchildren. And so I come along in his 80s, late 80s, and he has 0 emotional energy for me. Part of me is making excuses for him because it's what I do. So yes, I recognize that I'm doing that, you guys. But part of me also just knows that he's human. It's extremely painful that he has 0 emotional energy for me and that he's very unkind and cold toward me. And he does it in front of the whole family. So he basically is saying what I'm doing is the way everybody should treat her because I'm doing it. And so it's okay. So it's, it's very painful for me, but he's not a malicious person. It is harmful. It's unkind, but it's not malicious. Like, he doesn't have a malicious bone in his body, you know? So I say all of that, Declan, to say this. I was mentioning earlier on in the broadcast, when I'm around him, I create a bubble for myself. I put myself in my own safe bubble, and I don't interact with him. I don't put myself out there in a vulnerable way for him to turn down. I don't make myself emotionally available to him so that I can be embarrassed or humiliated or vulnerable in any way, because he's not a safe person for me. It's not a safe situation for me to, you know, open up and be myself and expect that he'll actually be human toward me, because he just doesn't know me and he doesn't have any emotional energy for me. And so I was sharing earlier, Declan, that I will put in earbuds or I'll just find a way to do my own thing that makes me really happy, something that I really like to do for me, just for me. And does it feel somewhere deep down inside like I'm being selfish? Yeah. But I don't let those voices win, because I know that I'm not a selfish person. I know that I am not a selfish person by nature. I'm actually more of a selfless person by nature. I love to give. I love to be kind. I love to make myself available to others. I love to hold a safe space for others. I love to be a good listener. I love to share in other people's celebrations, and I love to celebrate other people and encourage other people. And those are not qualities that my father-in-law appreciates or values. He doesn't see value in those types of like characteristics. And so I do something that feels wrong on the inside, which is I find something that I really love. Like, if I feel like reading a book, I just go sit in a corner and I read a book. And it doesn't require anything from anybody else, but I really love it. Like, it's something I totally enjoy. Or if I feel like going for a drive, I'll just borrow someone's car if we happen to all be hanging out, and I'll go drive somewhere because I love driving. Or I'll wear earbuds and I'll just have my earbuds in. Even if I'm not necessarily listening to something, I'll have earbuds in because it just feels nice. Like I don't feel like I have to be fully present, and I feel less vulnerable if I have my earbuds in, if that makes any sense. So I hope that's helpful, Declan. There are so many people that are harmful, and they are few and far between, the ones that are not. Oh, Poppy. Hi, Poppy. I didn't see you here. I'm going to answer Poppy's question, and then I'm going to answer Dana Bowman's question and John Harvey's question and Miss Beachboxer's question. Fast, 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 fast. We're not ending early tonight, you guys. We're going to end on time. Okay. Poppy says, so my psychologist recently told me that she believes I may be addicted to thinking. What WTF is up with that? I have been triggered a lot, but this has confused me. Any thoughts? Okay, so Poppy, you and I are like, we're cut from the same cloth also. Like Willow and Heroes Don't Wear Capes and you and I, like all four of us, we're all very, 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 very similar. And I would say that I'm addicted to thinking also. And so what I need to do sometimes, first of all, I want to just transparently say, Poppy, that I don't think it's very helpful that she said it to you in that way. But I'm not your psychologist. She probably means well. Most helping professionals mean well. They really do. But I will just say that I don't think it's very helpful for her to say it to you in that way, personally. But I think perhaps what she maybe meant to say is you spending all your time thinking, Poppy, is a good way for you to either numb stuff or avoid your feelings. And feelings are indicators, they are messengers, they are loyal, and they want what's best for you. They make you aware of things that might be wrong or that might be hurt or that might need your attention. And we like to avoid our feelings because they are very inconvenient sometimes. So perhaps what your psychologist meant to say is, Poppy, you spending all of your time thinking about A, B, C, or X, Y, and Z could possibly be a distraction or an avoidance tactic, avoidance as a coping strategy, so that you don't have to deal with something that's currently going on. She could mean that because that's been me. Like that's me, like to a T, right? I would spend a lot of time learning or educating myself on different topics, especially as they pertain to trauma recovery, so as not to deal with my own issues. Always circling back around and dealing with my own issues, of course, because I have to walk my talk. But when one has a lot of issues to deal with, a plethora of issues to deal with, no shortage of issues, a full subscription, if you will, I do spend a lot of time thinking and researching, and I do avoid sometimes. So perhaps what she means to do, Poppy, is to gently nudge you in the direction of sitting with your feelings or journaling more and researching less. But I would defer to you, Poppy, because you are wise. You know your body, you know your mind, you know what you need. And if you feel that you're doing all you possibly can to heal and that you're in a good place and you have complete control over the amount of time you spend researching or thinking, then you can thank your psychologist very much for her concern, and then you can move forward in the direction that you were already going. But if you think there might be some truth to it, like she might have landed on something there, like oh, well, am I spending a little bit too much time thinking and researching and whatever? Then, take it with a grain of salt and sit with it and look at it from all different directions. Like perhaps apply, I know what you could do, Poppy. Take like a Socratic approach. Take a Socratic approach to the comment. And, this might be a perfect like critical path method topic that you could spend some time with. And you could do the thing where you like to think a lot and you could think about what it is that she said. And then you can apply any truth that there might be. You could either prove or disprove her hypothesis about you thinking too much. But whatever you do, don't let her discourage you from healing, because you are on a healing path, Poppy. You've had a lot of issues to deal with that are family of origin related and a lot of obstacles to overcome. And you have come so far that it is just unbelievable to me that you're thriving the way you're thriving in spite of the situations that keep coming your way. And so I want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing, while also perhaps just applying like take a Socratic approach to the comment she made, and know that she is probably coming from a place of love and just wanting what's best for you. Unless you are intuiting that she doesn't want what's best for you and that she's a toxic person, then I would defer to you because you're the expert with you. But I don't know that that was the most helpful thing for her to say to you. um, Dana Bowman says, when I say my father-in-law hates me, I mean he acts like I don't exist at all. Dana, if someone could tag Dana, I hear you. I could make your head spin with my stories. Deborah goes on to say, and I'm looking at you right now, Deborah, like, Deborah, I'm sorry, Dana. So sorry. So sorry. Dana. I'm going to read your question, but I want you to know right now, like, I get you. What you're writing here is like something that I'm living. I've given up all hope, basically. So I hear you, but I'm going to read your question. Dana says, when I say my father-in-law hates me, I mean he acts like I don't exist at all. He hasn't spoken a sentence to me in probably 9 years. So I don't have to go gray rock. It just hurts. I didn't know it was to that degree, Dana. I'm so sorry. I have a similar situation. If I didn't initiate the sentence or the conversation, there would have been zero. There would have been 0 words. There would have been 0 sentences. I was the person that initiated every conversation. So yeah. And no, I didn't have to go gray rock. But I did decide to put in earbuds and create a safe space for myself and put myself in my own little bubble and do what was best for me and find what I like to do and get to know myself. And I did what was best for me and made sure that I was a priority. And it was probably the healthiest thing that I could ever do for myself. Was it painful? Yes. Was it excruciating? Yes. Did I bawl my eyes out? Yes. Yes. I bawled my eyes out. Yes, it still hurts to this day. I can see the smugness. There's no excuse for it. It's not okay. I would never, ever, ever, ever in a million years treat anyone the way that that man has treated me. But I can't control him, and I release it, I'm sure he's a wonderful man. He has wonderful children, wonderful grandchildren. He has a wonderful wife. But there's absolutely nothing I can do. I can't control him. His children and grandchildren have apologized to me on his behalf because he was so like horribly dismissive and silent and pretends I'm invisible and rude. But I just said, thanks for that. But like you're not responsible for him any more than I'm responsible for him. So again, I'm sure he's a wonderful man, but it hurts. It really hurts. And Dana, I don't know what advice to give you other than to create a safe space for yourself and honor yourself in those moments, because that is the most tremendous act of self-care and self-preservation and self-love and self-compassion that you could ever, 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 ever do. And there are parts of you that may have never had that, and every single part of you deserves that. Yeah. So sorry, Dana. John Harvey says, can after the holidays are over be harder on some people? How to handle it if it is triggering for some? Yes. You know what is so funny? It's funny that you should ask that, John Harvey. Um, Once like any type of hoopla is done, whether it's the holiday season or a wedding or a birthday or Valentine's Day or an anniversary or just some sort of like holiday, it can be very triggering for some people because like they were spending all of their emotional energy bracing themselves or preparing for like said day. And then like once that day comes and goes, it's like all of that time and energy that they were spending preparing themselves or bracing themselves for like the pain that was going to come. It's like they had all this extra time on their hands, and it's almost like there's this release. And with that release, John Harvey, comes a wave of emotion sometimes. And any wave of emotion, whether it's good or bad, can feel triggering. So I would say this may sound very strange, John Harvey, but I mean this with all my heart. And I am telling you this because it is what I have to do personally. I would say drink lots of fluids, get lots of sleep, eat extra green vegetables, make sure that you have a lot of vitamin C in your diet, make sure that you take a B12 supplement to help you handle some stress, get out for a walk if there's any sunshine to be seen anywhere, even though it's the winter. And a lot of times people only have snow and rain and hail and like gray, and like just do anything you possibly can to get happy chemicals going in your body. If you can go to the gym, go for a walk on a treadmill, if you can walk outside, if you can do anything that makes you happy, any version of you, younger yous, adult you, see some live music in like a little cafe, like a coffee shop that has like a person performing live. Music helps us. If you can do something creative that you like maybe like a coloring book or learning how to paint, or if you like to journal, or if you know how to do like any type of songwriting, or do you write poetry? Is there anything expressive in any way that you could possibly be a part of? Those are things that are going to help. But getting a lot of fluids and a lot of rest and upping your B12 and upping your vitamin C, those are going to help big time. As silly as it sounds, it helps. I promise you. And last question, you guys, very last question. Sorry, my voice is like seriously almost gone. Oh, this is not good. I'm having trouble swallowing. Let's just hope my voice is not completely gone next week. If it is, then no Q&A. I will make sure I let you guys know. But today I was feeling like I could do it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, Last question, Miss Beachboxer. Miss Beachboxer says, what can I do when I make some progress and trust with a counselor, and then they move? And now I have 5 months to a new, or 5 to go to a new one. I have to go to, maybe it's I have to go to a new one. What can I do when I make some progress and trust, make some progress and trust with a counselor, and then they move and now I have to go get a new one? Devastated. Oh, first of all, I've felt this. And there are so many of our community members that have gone through this, and I want you to know you're not alone. And a therapeutic relationship is something that is so, 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 so important for our healing journey. I would really recommend right now for you to be very, 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 very kind to yourself. Do whatever it is you possibly can do to practice self-care. However you can be compassionate towards yourself. If there's anything that makes you feel safe and good, whether it's journaling or reading, certain clothing, certain materials, a certain temperature in the room, certain foods, I would be very kind to yourself. And I would put the word out in our community, asking people who they use or what they've done when they've had to get a new therapist. Because it honestly took me so long to find Sonia. It took me a really long time to find Sonia. My very, very, very first gal that I ever had, her name was Kelly, and that was a very short-lived relationship, but it was life-changing for me, and it was devastating when I had to sort of move on. It took me 7 years before I found Karen. That was hard. That was a long wait. And then after Karen, it took me 7 more years before I found my next therapist. And then only took me 3. So sometimes it just takes a while. I would allow yourself, Miss Beachboxer, I would allow yourself to feel all of your feelings. If you're feeling grief, if you're feeling fear, if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling shame, if you're feeling anger, abandonment, frustration, disappointment, it's important for you to say out loud, I feel disappointed. I acknowledge my right and my need to feel disappointed. I am worthy of feeling all of my feelings. I feel frustrated. I'm honoring my need to feel frustrated. It is valid. My feelings are valid. I feel abandoned. I'm honoring my right to feel abandoned. It's okay that I feel these feelings. I am human and I will get through this. Simply identifying how it is that we feel, all the different feelings, not just one thing, not just one feeling, right? Like Richard Grannon says, like go 5 deep if you can, like angry, sad, disappointed, abandoned, frustrated, disappointed, however many you can list, and then find out where those feelings come from, what they remind you of, and journal about them, and make sure that you say out loud that you're honoring those feelings. Positive self-talk during stuff like that is a really big deal. That might not be the answer you wanted to hear, but I'm just telling you what's helped me in my own recovery journey, because I've gone through what you're going through right now, and I've been absolutely devastated. And I've only had 1, 2, 3. I've only had 5 therapists in my life. But when I had to move on from one to another, so painful. Seriously painful, you guys. So I'm going to end on time tonight. And I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for your participation in this community. Thanks for staying all the way to the end. Thanks for giving this video a thumbs up. Thanks for subscribing to this YouTube channel. Thank you for sharing these videos with those who you think they'll be helpful for. And I know that next week I have a lot of travel coming up. And so, but business is good. Work is good. I'm grateful for business. I'm grateful for work. And a lot's coming in the new year. And I want to connect with you guys as much as I possibly can between now and the holidays. So I'm traveling a lot. And then not next week, but the following is Christmas. So let me know down in the comments section below this video after it's done being live how you guys feel about Christmas Q&A, even if it's just brief. And if I have a voice next week, then I'll probably be here. But if my voice is if my throat, if my glands are still swollen and my voice is the way that it is right now, it's not wise. It's not wise for me to push myself. So I'll just let you guys know. Okay? But thanks for being here. Please be kind to yourselves. The holiday season, the winter holidays are so, 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 so hard. Please do your best to create a safe space for yourself. Honor yourself. Check in with your body. Find out what it is that you need in the moment. What do you need to feel safe? What do you need to feel good? What do you need so that you can really look yourself in the mirror and know that you did whatever you could to take care of yourself that day? Whether it's extra fluids, extra rest, having healthy boundaries, staying away from unsafe people and toxic people. Do what you need to do to take care of you because you're worth it. You are worth it. We are worth it. Okay? I love you guys. I'm so grateful for you. Thanks for being here tonight. And I will see you soon, hopefully 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, here next Monday, if I have a voice. And then the following is Christmas, so it'll be something maybe brief, maybe not long, you know. But I love you guys and I appreciate you so much. I couldn't do any of this without you. So thanks for all your emails and your voice messages and just everything. You guys are amazing. And I'll see you soon, okay? Take care of yourselves.